Good morning. My name is Tony Ghiloni. Welcome to my cycling adventures. I'm starting my first adventure today, heading from Newark, Ohio, where I live, to Landrum, South Carolina to see a friend of mine. Going to be about 514 miles with 32,000 feet of elevation gain. Trying to do this in 6 days. Okay, so as I said in the beginning, my name is Tony Ghiloni. That is my real name, by the way. And I just wanted to talk about what my purpose is for this channel. Mainly, I just want a record of all of the trips that I plan to do in the next few years, so that when I'm 90 years old and not able to ride anymore, I can sit back in my recliner and remember of what it was like to be riding. Anyway, this is my first attempt at anything like this. Not very comfortable doing it. I've got, I would say, a very introverted personality, so talking to a camera and going down the bike path is not something I'm real comfortable with, but hopefully that'll change as time goes on. Hope to make it interesting for everybody that cares to watch. I'm not a very interesting person, I don't think, myself, but hopefully we'll see some interesting things along the way. Today is my first trip. I'm riding to Landrum, South Carolina, to visit my friend Barry. Been friends for 40 years now, I guess. Anyway, this is going to be a tough trip. I've done several tours, but mostly on flat ground and on designated routes. This is a route I had to develop myself with the help of bike with GPS. But anyway, it's a lot of elevation. Doing it in 6 days, so I average about 86 miles a day and close to 6,000 feet of elevation every day. But today's goal is to get to just north of Racine, Ohio, which is down by the Ohio River. I started out in my hometown of Newark. It's right about in the middle of the state. It's very foggy today. I don't know if you can tell that. I'm glad to be on the bike path. I've got about 10 miles on this before I have to hit regular roads again. So anyway, like I said, this is my first trip of many to come, hopefully. I'm kind of calling this my practice trip. I think I've got the bike touring set up and all that stuff pretty well figured out. It's mainly figuring out this videotaping with the GoPro and trying to think of interesting things to say, stuff like that. And also to, you know, do some elevation, because the trip's coming up are going to be a lot bigger and bolder than this. Anyway, if this trip goes well, next year my big trip is going to be the Trans Am bike non-stop route going from Astoria, Oregon all the way to Washington, D.C. I've always wanted to do that route. That's the Trans Am is the classic route cross country, the first adventure cycling route that was developed back in 1976. Actually, adventure cycling at that time was called the Bike Centennial, and that's when I first had contact with them, back before internet, obviously, and before email. You had to just write a letter, believe it or not, on pen and paper. So I was planning to take a trip from Newark to Florida, because I have a sister that lives in Florida, and to get a route, I thought I would write to Bike Centennial. Certainly they would have a route, but they didn't. And so I got the idea of talking to AAA, because my parents had a AAA membership, and back then you could get them to route you what they called a triptych, just a little notebook type thing that you flip up with different sections of your route. And you tell them what route you're going to go on vacation. You just follow that triptych. So I thought, great, I'll just tell them to route me a route to Florida using all secondary roads. So that's what we did, and that worked out pretty well. But anyway, also, like, I'll tell you, my inspiration for that trip, and then all just cycling in general, long distance cycling, was my brother Tim. 1972 or 73, I think. I would have been 9 or 10 years old at that point. My brother had this idea that he was going to ride his old Schwinn Varsity, I think it was, or maybe a Continental, I don't know, from Newark to Florida. And I just thought that was the greatest idea. Neat little adventure. And so I just looked up to him, and I just thought that was great. Well, I wish I could find I have a picture of him somewhere, of him all decked out with his bike, fishing rod strapped to the frame. I think he thought he was going to just catch fish along the way to eat. I don't even think he had a water bottle, certainly not a helmet, but he was going to do it. But he left on his trip. He made it to Lancaster, which is about 30 miles south of Newark, got a flat tire, and gave up. So anyway, that was my inspiration. I still, you know, I thought about that for a long time and thought, man, I'm going to do that someday. So 1984, I think, I was about 21 years old, and decided to do that trip. So anyway, that was my first cycling adventure. It was an adventure, I'll tell you that. Anyway, I get back to my story about the Trans Am. Like I said, I always wanted to do it. I was just going to do it as a normal bike tour, but there's a race every year that follows the Trans Am and the bike non-stop route, and I decided, what the heck, I might as well enter that race. I idea that I'll even come close to winning the thing. My goal, number one, is to finish. Number two is not come in last. So hopefully, there's an old guy out there, older than me. I just turned 62. I'm thinking maybe a 75, 80-year-old I could beat. So anybody out there thinking about it, do it. You need somebody to beat. But anyway, it's not about winning, it's just about doing it and challenging yourself, and I like to challenge myself. So that's that tour. Then after that, this will be 2027, I plan to ride the perimeter of the United States, which sounds crazy, but what adventures aren't crazy? Wow, right? Okay, I'm all right. Wow. Like I said, what an adventure. Just riding along, and there's a bunch of mud. We had a big storm come through last night, and mud washed across the bike path, and riding through it, the front wheel just went out from under me and I went down. No big deal. Didn't even scrape myself. Wasn't going that fast. But let me pick myself up, and I'll get back with you. Well, that was interesting, but I'm all right. Just got the bike all muddy. All my gear stayed on though. I was proud of that. Other than my bike computer, it came off and fell in the mud, so I gotta look at that now. Anyway, I was talking about doing the perimeter trip, and you know, I guess I got that idea. I was looking at Adventure Cycling, their website. They've got all kinds of routes all across the country now, around the country, and I kept thinking I want to do a lot of these. I want to do the, I think they call it the East Coast Greenway, which goes from Bar Harbor, Maine, all the way down to Key West, Florida. And then the southern tier goes from St. Augustine, Florida to San Diego. And then the Pacific Coast Tour route goes San Diego to Vancouver, I think, but anyway, and then the northern tier goes from Vancouver or somewhere around there all the way to Bar Harbor, Maine. So I thought, wow, why not just link those all together and do it all at once? Sounds reasonable to me. Anyway, that's my plan for 2027. That's going to be about a 6-month trip, so I'm thinking I'll take the next year off. Maybe do some smaller trips. We'll see. But then in 2029, I guess that would be, I'd like to do the GDMBR, the Great Divide mountain bike route. That was inspired by my buddy Matt Ryder, by the way. Matt Ryder also kind of inspired me to start this video channel, or YouTube channel. That's when I started watching him. He was doing the GDMBR. He's just a regular guy from UK. Actually, I think that was his first bike packing trip ever. He had done the Appalachian Trail before that, was looking for some different adventure, so he decided to do the GDMBR. And also just starting his YouTube channel. I thought that's pretty cool. He didn't have a whole lot of experience in all this stuff, and I don't either, but if he can do it, I can do it. So hopefully we'll do all right with this. But anyway, the GDMBR is it's like 90%, maybe 95% all off-road mountain biking. The Continental Divide goes from Jasper, Alberta, I think it is, Canada, all the way to Antelope Wells, New Mexico, the border of Mexico. It's like 27,000 or 2,700 miles. A lot of elevation. They also have a race called the Tour Divide for that route, but I'm not doing that. Those guys are insane. I shouldn't say insane, they're just ambitious and younger than me. They'll do that in like 17, 18 days, I think. Crazy. I'd be happy if I could do it in a month. So that's that trip. My last trip, and I'm trying to complete these all before I turn 70, which I am 62 now, so that gives me 8 years. And my last big trip is kind of my own concoction. I'd like to go from Dead Horse, Alaska, the farthest point north in Alaska, or in the United States, at least that you can ride a bike from, all the way down to Key West, Florida, the southernmost point of the United States. So that'll be pretty crazy. But anyway, we'll see. Hopefully you guys are following along by then still. All right, that's about enough for now. Check in with you later. Looks like I got a deer up here. I think he wants to challenge me. Oh, didn't want a piece of this. So I'm in Rushville, Ohio right now, taking a break. I guess I've gone about 25 miles. It's 8:20, I think. So, and I left around 6:30. So not too bad, I guess, considering the complications I've had this morning. Nothing major, just that wipe out in the mud and having trouble with my navigation. I don't know what I did wrong. I thought I transferred my route from my computer to the bike computer, the Garmin that I have, but evidently it didn't transfer over. I have an old route. It's kind of the same route, but I have changed it so many times that it's just an old one that was on there that I've been following. But it's not the correct route. So anyway, I'm having to use the route that's on my phone, which is not a bad deal. It works fine. It's just that it sucks all my battery out of my phone using the GPS, so I don't really want to do that. So I think the problem is I'm trying to transfer the map from my phone now to the Garmin, but I think it has to be hooked up to Wi-Fi. Both computers need to be hooked up to Wi-Fi to make that work. Anyway, I don't know. I'm not very good with technology, but anyway, I'm muddling through. Just having some water here and Fig Bar, and I'm gonna get back on the road. It's starting to warm up. The fog is burning off, but it's about 75 degrees already, and I think it's supposed to hit 80 by noon and then get up to around 89 today. So trying to get as many miles in as I can while it's still relatively cool. So anyway, I'll check back later. I don't know if the camera shows these hills or not, but it's just one hill after another, up and down, up and down. My strategy for attacking these hills is to get in my biggest gear, pedal until I spin out, and then get up the next side of the hill as fast as I can, shifting down as I need to. Now made it to Nelsonville, picking up the I think it's called the Hocking bike trail. I think this goes all the way to Athens, which would be nice. Anyway, it'll be nice and flat, I'm sure. Did some pretty tough hills there in the last 20 miles. I think I have to do like 5,700 feet of elevation today, and I've probably done about half of that, maybe a little more. So anyway, I think I'm about the halfway point for the day. So hopefully the heat won't get too intense here. It's heating up pretty good though. messed up somewhere along the line. I've been having trouble with the GPS all day long. Thought I was riding the right route, but ended up on the bike path from Nelsonville all the way through Athens, thinking it was the right route, but bike path ended, and so did my map. Tried to reroute to the map, and all it does is beeps a couple times and map goes away. The only thing I knew to do is get on my Apple Maps bike mode and punch in my address for my campground. So that's what I'm doing now. But it's 28 miles and 2,400 feet of elevation that I was not planning on. But what you gotta do? Just gonna put the hammer down and go. We'll get there eventually. Man, I don't know where my GPS is taking me here, but looking kind of sketchy. The paved road was getting narrower and narrower, and now it's telling me to turn onto this road. All gravel and all uphill. I guess you can't argue with the computer, so I'm gonna ride it. I guess this will be good practice for the GDMBR if I ever get there. This is crazy. But I only have to do this for 1.7 miles. Well, that's not bad. I think I'm gonna get off and push here in a minute. Yeah, this is good. Okay, I'm back on the saddle again. Still riding up this hill. The good thing is I've drank almost all of my water, so my load is about 9 pounds lighter than when I started today. But I'm down to about 12 ounces of water, I think. So I'm hoping somewhere on the other side of this hill there is a place to get some water. Was not expecting this today. I gotta push. Yeah, still on this road. I'm hoping I'm at the top. It looks like I am. So it should be fairly easy from here. It says I've got 0.8 miles to my next turn. Hopefully it's onto some pavement. Well, this is my first trail angel for the day, or for the trip. I was completely out of water, just come up a big hill. I don't know, these hills just don't end. It's like you go down and then you got to go right back up. But anyway, this lady was out working on her flowers, and I stopped and asked her for a drink of water.
For about 2.5 miles, continue straight.
I was just going to get some water out of her hose, but she went and got me a half frozen water out of her freezer. And man, did it hit the spot. And then she filled up my water bottle with ice water too, so I should be set now. Just need to get out of these hills. guess the GPS wasn't wrong when it said 2,800 feet of elevation gain. That's the more than 1,000 per 10 miles. More gravel. Come to my intersection here in about a half a mile. Hopefully that's a better road. It says I'm 17 miles away from my campground. They better have a place for me. Yeah, more gravel. This is what I've been dealing with for the last 20 miles. It's crazy. Meigs County gets my vote for worst roads in the state of Ohio. Well, I think we just about made it. 1.4 miles and we'll be there. Hopefully they've got a campsite for me. And I can get a good shower and a good night's rest and do it all again tomorrow. It's been a tough one. So, turns out the address that Hip Camp gave me for the campground is not correct. Just ended up at somebody's house. So I stopped at the BP station, asked the guys there if there was a place to camp nearby, which there is, about a mile and a half down the road. But I called their office and they're closed. So I'm hoping I can just come in there and find a spot and I'll pay them in the morning or something. But it's starting to get dark and I need a place to stay. Well, I made it to the campground and they were closed, but they had a number to call to, you know, if you were coming in late. So a guy come down and met me and took my money and got me a spot. So I got me a shower, had my dinner, got my tent all set up. I'm ready to crash. But it was a rough day, man. Hopefully tomorrow will go better. Tomorrow night I stay at a Warm Showers host, so that should be good. And I've only got 73 miles to do tomorrow, and I think 3,500 feet of elevation. I don't know what the final numbers were for today. I know that I went over 100 miles, way over 100 miles, probably 110 or 15. It was 98 if I didn't have any detours. So maybe not that much, maybe 105, 110, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, it was a full day. I didn't get in here to the campground until 8 o'clock, and I didn't take a whole lot of breaks today. I didn't stop anywhere to eat lunch. Just had a couple of peanut butter sandwiches on the road, and so I left at 6:30. So that's a lot of riding, slow riding. Those gravel roads were crazy. I just could not get any speed. I had to walk the bike up a lot of them, and so anyway, but overall it was a good day. Just a little hard. Good night.